चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे सर्वशास्त्रार्थ पीयूष सर्ववेदैक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो कलिद्वांतो दिथादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तितः हरे कृष्ण. We are discussing how Suta, Magada and Vandi, how they are glorifying the character of Prithu Maharaj. They described various qualities of Prithu Maharaj. How Prithu Maharaj will embody all the qualities of the Devatas. We discussed that. Now, in the last section of this particular chapter, they are describing some of the activities which Prithu Maharaj will perform. Some of the major incidents which Prithu Maharaj will perform. That is what we discussed in the last chapter, in the last section of this chapter. What is being described in these verses, the same thing will be described in detail in the future chapter. Like, for example, in the current 24th shloka, Prithu Maharaj performing the Ashwamedha Yajna. That is being described. What is described in this one particular shloka will be described in more detail in the 19th chapter, the entire chapter, and part of 20th chapter. So, somebody can recite. येषोऽश्वमेधाय शतमाजहार
ईशोऽश्वमेधां शतमाजहार
सरस्वती प्रादुरभावि यत्र
सरस्वती प्रादुर्भावि यत्र
आहार्षीद्यस्य हयं पुरन्दरः
आहर्षितस्य अहयं पुरन्दरः
आहार्षीद्यस्य हयं पुरन्दरः
आहर्षितस्य हयं पुरन्दरः
शतक्रतुश्चरमे वर्तमाने
शतक्रतुश्चरमे वर्तामने. At the source of river Saraswati, the king will perform 100 sacrifices known as Ashwamedha. In the course of the last sacrifice, the heavenly king Indra will steal the sacrificial horse.
So, Yesha Ashwamedai, Yesha Shatam Ashwamedai, Ajahara, Saraswati Pradurabhavi Yatra. So, he will perform Shatam Ashwamedan, 100 Ashwamedha Yagyas. Ajahara means what? Ajahara means performed, the king performed 100 horse sacrifices. In which place? Yatra Saraswati Pradurabhavi. The place where Saraswati river appeared. Currently, the Saraswati river is Lupta. It's not visible, but prthu Maharaj performed at the source of the Saraswati river. And then Charame Vartamane. That means at the last sacrifice. Charame Vartamane Shatakratuhu Purandaraha. Both are the names of Indra. Indra is called Shatakratu because he has performed 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. During the last sacrifice, Indra, the performer of 100 sacrifices, Hayam Aharshit. Hayam means horse. Indra stole the horse meant for the sacrifice. Actually, Aharshit is in the past tense. Ajahara is in the past tense. Prabhupada is translated as a future tense. Indra will steal the horse meant for the sacrifice. Next shloka. But because this topic will be discussed in detail in the 19th chapter, so I'm not going into detail now. येषस्व सद्मो पवने समेत्य
एष स्वसद्मो पवने समेत्य
सनत्कुमारं भगवन्तमेकम्
सनत्कुमारं भगवन्तम् एकम्
आराध्य भक्त्या लभतामलं तज्
आराध्य भक्त्या लभतामलं तज्
ज्ञानं यतो ब्रह्म परं विदन्ति.
ज्ञानं यतो ब्रह्म परं विदन्ति. Translation. This King Pruthu will meet Sanat Kumara, one of the four Kumaras, in the garden of his palace compound. The king will worship him with devotion and will be fortunate to receive instructions by which one can enjoy transcendental bliss.
So what is described in this particular shloka, Prthu Maharaj's meeting with the Sanat Kumara, that will be described in the chapter 22. Very beautiful chapter where Prthu Maharaj's meeting with the Sanat Kumara's instruction to Prthu Maharaj expressing his gratitude. That will come in that chapter. So, Yeshaha Swasadma Upavane. Swasadma means his own palace. Upavane means there's a garden in the palace. Swasadma Upavane Bhagavantam Ekam. So he met Sanat Kumara alone. Bhagavantam Sanat Kumaram. Bhagavantam is an adjective for Sanat Kumara. So why the adjective is used? To explain that the Sanat Kumara, his greatness is described by the word Bhagavantam. Sanat Kumara, a great Vaishnava, and he had the opulence of Vairagya. Therefore, Bhagavantam adjective is used. So meeting the great Sanat Kumara alone in the palace garden, Swasadma Upavane, and Bhaktya Aradhya. He worshipped him with a devotion. After worshipping with devotion, Tad Amalam Jnanam Alabata. Prthu Maharaj attained Amalam Jnanam, spotless knowledge, pure knowledge. Spotless knowledge, that means knowledge about devotional service. Amalam Jnanam Alabata. Prthu Maharaj attained spotless Jnanam from Sanat Kumara. And by that spotless knowledge, Yataha Param Brahma Vidanti. By which the yogis know the supreme Brahman. Therefore, there is a knowledge about bhakti. So, Srila Prabhupada's commentary. Prabhupada says, by which one can enjoy transcendental bliss. So Vidanti means one who knows something or enjoys something. So when a person is properly instructed by a spiritual master and understands a transcendental bliss, such a person enjoys the life. So Prabhupada correlates Param Brahma Vidanti. He quotes the shloka, Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma, Na Shochati Na Kankshati, Samas Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labate Param. When a person comes to the Brahma Bhuta platform, one neither hankers after something nor laments over something. And he partakes of transcendental blissful enjoyment. So Prthu Maharaj is a Shaktiyavesh incarnation of Vishnu, but he taught the people in his kingdom the importance of accepting a spiritual master, the importance of taking instructions from a spiritual master. Because Acharyavan Purusho Veda. A person who has an Acharya, only he knows the Vedas. So Prithu Maharaj taught the importance of taking instruction from a spiritual master who comes in the bona fide disciplic succession. So by getting knowledge from the spiritual master, by getting the spotless knowledge, one can enjoy a blissful life even while living in this world. So Param Brahma Vidanti with Jnane, with Avabodhane, by which the Prithu Maharaj understood the Parabrahma, Supreme Brahma. So when a person understands the Brahman, he enjoys a blissful life. Yasmin Vijnate Sarvameva Vijnatam Bhavati. By understanding the Supreme Brahman, one understands everything. In this way, so this particular shloka will be elaborated. We'll see in the entire 22nd chapter. Next shloka. Tatra tatra girastastha.
Tatra tatra girastasta.
Iti Vishruta Vikramaha.
Iti Vishruta Vikramaha.
Shoshyat Atma Shrita Gatha.
Shoshyat Atma Shrita Gatha.
Prutu Parakramaha.
Prthu Parakramaha. Translation. In this way, when the chivalrous activities of King Prthu come to be known to the people in general, King Prthu will always hear about himself and his uniquely powerful activities.
So, how Prithu Maharaj's glories will be sung by different people. So that is described here. Tatra tatra girastasta iti Vishruta Vikrama. Shroshyat Atma Shrita Gata Prutu Parakramaha. So Prutu Parakramaha Vishruta Vikramaha. So tatra means here and there. Here and there. Giraha means words. With various words of this sort. Iti Giraha. Prithu of the famous courage. Vishruta Vikramaha. Vikraha means courageous person. Vishruta means a famously courageous person. And Prithu Parakramaha. And Prithu of the great strength, who possessed great strength, Prithu Parakramaha. Thus here and there with various words of this sort. That means various words of this sort means whatever was spoken so far. Prithu of great courage and great strength. Shroshyati. Shroshyati is in the future tense, will hear songs that they skillfully composed. Atmashritaha gataha. Atmashritaha gataha, that they skillfully composed. So, Srila Prabhupada says that Prthu Maharaj did not advertise himself to become famous. Because in the current age, people advertise themselves to increase their number of followers. There are many companies, they provide services. They guarantee how a person's say followers can increase in the YouTube channel. In 6 months, they can guarantee it can increase to say, so many lakhs. And then they will give certain guidelines how to put videos, etc. So we hire those advertising agency, and then they will ensure that in certain number of months, the number of followers will increase to a certain level. So there is so much of money involved in investing in order to increase one's reach and in order to increase one's followers. But in the case of in the current time, suppose a person has performed X amount of work in a particular field, but compared to the amount he has performed in the particular field, in order to advertise that work, sometimes more effort is required. He may spend 3x amount of effort to advertise his work. To advertise his X amount of work, he may spend 3x amount of effort to advertise his work. But in the case of Prthu Maharaj did not put any effort to advertise his contribution. Rather, his own contribution, his own activities naturally advertised his glories. So to artificially advertise oneself and thus enjoy a so-called reputation is a kind of conceit. Prathu Maharaj was famous amongst the people because of his chivalrous activities. Vishruta Vikramaha. He did not have to advertise himself artificially. He himself performed such wondrous activities that it was impossible for anyone to cover his reputation. If a person factually has a reputation, it cannot be covered. In the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 11.11.40, in the Uddhav Gita, Krishna says that Kritasya parikirtanam, Kritasya aparikirtanam. A devotee should never advertise his devotional activities like charity, etc., for becoming famous. So in the commentary, it is written that Dharma Ksharati Kirtanat. What if a person advertises his devotional activities or pious activities for getting fame? What is the consequence of it? So religious merit is washed away by advertising it for fame. Dharmaha Ksharati Kirtana. So if a person advertises himself in order to become famous, then whatever good activity he has performed, that will get washed away by the effort of advertising it for fame. That is why in the Darpa Dalanam it is mentioned लोकप्रसिद्धिसिद्ध्यैः प्रयच्छति गुणस्तवैः करोति यशसो स सदा क्रयविक्रयम्. A person who gives charity for attaining popularity and praise in this world does not attain anything in the afterlife. He merely exchanges his wealth with worldly fame. Karoti vitta yashasoho sa sada kraya vikrayam. So therefore, in the Gita also Krishna says that Datavyam itiyat danam diyate anupakarine deshe kale cha patre cha taddanam satvikam smritam. One should give charity with the mindset that it should be done without expecting anything in return. So, Prabhupada's purport is an important purport. Next shloka. दिशो विजित्या प्रतिरुद्ध चक्रः
दिशो विजित्य प्रतिरुद्ध चक्र
स्वतेजसोत्पा स्वतेजसोत्पाटितलोकशल्यः
स्वतेजसोत्पाटितलोकशल्यः
सुरासुरेन्द्रैरुपगीयमाण
सुरासुरेन्द्रैरुपगीयमाना
महानुभावो भवितापतिर्भुवः.
महानुभावो भविता पतिर्भुवः. Translation: No one will be able to disobey the orders of Prthu Maharaj. After conquering the world, he will completely eradicate the threefold miseries of the citizens. Then he will be recognized all over the world. At that time, both the Suras and the Asuras will undoubtedly glorify his magnanimous activities.
So they are giving like a summary kind of. Disho Vijitya Pratiruddha Chakra. Apratiruddha Chakraha. Swatejasa Utpatita. Lokashalyaha Surasura Indraihi Upagiyamana. Mahanubhavaha Dishaha Vijitya. Dishaha Vijitya means he conquered all the directions. And Apratiruddha means he had unchecked power. Apratiruddha Chakra. And Swatejasa Utpatita Loka Shalyah. Swatejasa by his own prowess. Utpatita means uprooted. Loka Shalyah means the miseries of the citizens. By his own power, he uprooted the miseries of the people by his own prowess. And Surasura Indraihi Upagiyamana. He was glorified by the leaders of the Devatas and the demons. Sura Surendrair Upagiyamana. So he was glorified by demons as well as the Devatas. And such a Prthu Maharaj will be Bhuvaha Patihi Bhavita. He will become a leader of the great authority. Bhuvaha Patihi Bhavita. He will become the leader of the entire earth. So they have summarized the Prthu Maharaj. This is the last shloka of this chapter. So at the time of the Prthu Maharaj, the world was ruled by one emperor. But there will be many small kings under that emperor. So just as there are many united states in various parts of the world. In olden days, the entire world was ruled through many states But there was a supreme emperor who ruled over all subsidiary states. So there is advantage of that because one can take quick decision. There are many people involved in decision making. Sometimes important decision can get postponed for years together. So that is an advantage of that. As soon as there were some discrepancies in the maintenance of the Varnashram system, the emperor would immediately take charge of the small states. Utpatita Loka Shalyaha. We had discussed it previously in the first kind of 10th chapter, Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule. There also it is described that how during Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule, that the people were not suffering the threefold miseries. Prthu completely uprooted the miseries of his citizens. Shalya means piercing thorns. Utpatita Loka Shalyaha. So there are many kinds of miserable thorns that pierce the citizens of a state. But all the competent rulers, even up to the reign of Yudhishthira Maharaj, uprooted all the miserable conditions of the citizens. So during Yudhishthira Maharaj's time, there is a description in the first canto, 10th chapter. I'll just go through that shloka. 3 shlokas it is described. So Prabhupada is paraphrasing that in the purport. So it is described during Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule. Kamam vavarsha parjanya sarvakama dugamahi sishichusma prajangava payaso daswatir muda. During the Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule, the clouds showered all the water that people needed. And the earth produced all the necessities in profuse quantity. And the cows were so happy due to their fatty milk bags and a cheerful attitude. The cows used to moisten the grazing ground with the milk. Nadyas samudra girayah sa vanaspati virudah palantyoshadaya sarva kamam anvrtu tasyavai. The rivers, oceans, hills, mountains, forests, creepers, and the drugs in every season paid their tax quota to the king in profuse quantity. Nadayo vyadayas klesha daiva bhutatma hetavah ajata shatrav abhavan jantunam rajni karhichit. Because of Yudhishthira Maharaj having no enemy, the living beings were not at any time disturbed by the mental agonies. There were no mental problems, depression. The citizens did not suffer from diseases or excessive heat or excessive cold. Currently, we are going through all these problems. Actually. Excessive heat, extended summer. In every hospital, if you go, a lot of queue for meeting the psychiatric doctor. So these 3 verses from the first kind of 10th chapter are quoted by Prabhupada. That is the standard of good government. Such a peaceful and prosperous government devoid of anxiety was established by Prthu Maharaj. Thus the inhabitants of both saintly and demoniac planets were all engaged in glorifying the activities of Prthu. So persons or nations anxious to spread their influence all over the world should consider this point. So Prabhupada is giving a very high benchmark for a person who aspires to become a ruler of a country. If a person is able to completely eradicate the threefold miseries, then he should aspire to rule the world. So one should not aspire to rule for any political or diplomatic consideration. A very high benchmark is given by Prabhupada based on the shloka, especially this word Swatejasa Utpatita Lokashalyaha. And same thing is described in relation to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in this we end to the end the 16th chapter, we'll begin the 17th chapter now. So chapter 17 and chapter 18, if you see in the previous chapter, one of the the 22nd shloka, you saw last time. The 22nd shloka, it was described that how Prthu Maharaj would milk the earth. And how he will level the surface of the earth with the pointed ends of his bow. So Prthu Maharaj milking the earth. So that 22nd shloka, what was described, that is going to be described in 17th and 18th chapter. So we'll begin. Maitreya Uvacha.
Maitreya Uvacha.
Evam sa Bhagavan Vainyaha.
Evam sa Bhagavan Vainyaha.
Khyapito Guna Karma Bhihi.
Shapito Guna Karma Bihi.
Chandayamasa Tan Kamaihi.
Chandayamsa Tant Kamaihi.
Pratipujya cha.
Pratipujya Bhinandya cha. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued. In this way, the reciters who were glorifying Maharaj Prthu readily described his qualities and chivalrous activities. At the end, Maharaj Prthu offered them various presentations with all due respect and worshipped them adequately.
So Prthu Maharaj, he actually offered them proper all the Suta, Magad and Vandi. He respected them by awarding proper remuneration. That is described here. Evam Bhagavan Saha Vainyaha. Vainyaha means the son of Vena. The Saha Vainyaha Guna Karma Bihi Kyapitaha. Being glorified by the reciters. What did Prthu do? Tan Abhinandya Cha Kamaihi Pratipujya Chandayamasa. Prthu Maharaj satisfied them with the gifts after worshipping and glorifying them. Chandayamasa. So he also reciprocated properly. If we see in the Bhagavatam, so this kind of culture is there. The king would be glorified by certain people, Suta, Magad and Vandi, because king has a great responsibility and king needs encouragement from others. And therefore, such people were there, and the king would also reciprocate with them by giving them appropriate gifts. For example, Prabhupada says in the 1.11.23 purport, the Brahmanas in society were never attentive to banking money for future retired life. When they were old invalids, they used to approach with their wives the assembly of the kings, and simply by praising the glorious deeds performed by the kings, they would be provided with all the necessities of life. And such Brahmanas were not, so to speak, flatterers of the kings. It's not that they would flatter the king. The kings were actually glorified by their actions, and they were sincerely still more encouraged in pious acts by such Brahmanas in a dignified way. Another place in the first canto, 16th chapter, when Parikshit Maharaj was touring on the kingdom, that time there also it is described that different people glorified Parikshit Maharaj and his grandfathers, the Pandavas. And Parikshit Maharaj also gave them gifts and satisfied them. So Prabhupada says that the difference between the presentation of welcome addresses today and in those days is that formerly the welcome addresses were presented to a person like Maharaj Parikshit or Maharaj Prthu. And the welcome addresses were full of facts and figures. Were full of facts and figures. And those who presented such addresses were sufficiently rewarded. Whereas in the present days, the welcome addresses are presented not always with factual statements, but to please the post holder. And often they are full of flattering lies. And rarely are those who present such welcome addresses were rewarded by those who present such welcome addresses rewarded by the poor receiver. So, in this way, Prathu Maharaj satisfied them. Next shloka. Brahmana Pramukhan Varnan
Brahmana Pramukhan Varnan
Vritya Matya Purodhasaha
Vritya Matya Purodhasaha
Pauran Janapadan Shrenihi
Pauran Janapadan Shreni
Prakriti Samapujayat.
Prakriti Samapujayata. Translation. King Pruthu thus satisfied and offered all respect to all the leaders of the Brahmanas and other castes, to his servants, to his ministers, and to the priests, citizens, general countrymen, people from other communities, admirers, and others, and thus they all became happy.
So Prathu Maharaj satisfied everyone. A long list of people are mentioned in the shloka. Brahmana Pramukhan Varnan Amatya Purodasah Pauran Janapadan Shrenihi Prakriti Britya Samapujaya. The Brahmanas are the leading people. He respected the leading Brahmanas and other castes, other Varna. And Amatya Purodasaha. Amatya refers to his ministers. Pauran, the city people. Janapadan, the country people. Shrenihi, the tradesman. And Britya, different employees. He satisfied everyone. So, for example, like Vishwanath Chakravarti says the word Shrenihi refers to the oil sellers and betel nut sellers. Prakritihi means employed persons. The Prathu Maharaj satisfied all of them. Actually. Blessings to you. If I protect you, I will be serving you. So oftentimes, sometimes when the government knowingly or unknowingly neglects certain section of the people, maybe certain caste or a certain community or certain age group or like that, then when they get instigated, they actually start different protest against the government. So not everyone is equal, but everyone needs to be satisfied. Their needs, interests, and concerns have to be addressed. Elsewhere in the same fourth canto, in the Prathu Maharaj section, we will see, I think, the 21st chapter. There's a verse which comes that पूजित पूजयामास तत्र तत्र महायशाः पौरान् जानपदां स्तांस्तान् प्रीत प्रियवरप्रद. Both the important citizens and the common citizens welcomed King Prthu very heartily. And he also bestowed upon them the desired blessings. So Prthu Maharaj satisfied all of them. And they also, when Prthu Maharaj entered the kingdom, this verse comes in, I think, 21st chapter. Important citizens and the common citizens. All of them welcomed Prthu heartily. Even there is a, in the first canto, in the description of Krishna's entrance into Dwaraka, it is described that when Krishna entered Dwaraka, many different kinds of people came to receive Krishna, welcome Krishna. And Krishna satisfied all of them. Prahvabi vadanashlesha karasparsha smitekshanaih ashvasya chashvapakebhyo varaish chavimatayir vibuhu. The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present. To some people by bowing his head. To some people by exchanging the greetings. With some people by embracing. And with some people by shaking hands, karasparsha. And with some people glancing upon them and smiling. Giving assurances and awarding benedictions. In this way, Lord Krishna greeted everyone, even to the lowest in rank. Ashvasya cha shvapakebhyo. Shvapaka refers to the Chandala. Chandala is the lowest in the society, but Krishna greeted everyone, even to the lowest in rank. Even to the lowest in rank. Similarly, here we see that Prthu Maharaj satisfied everyone. So now Vidura is asking a question. So in one sense, Maitreya Rishi, he has completed the description of Prthu Maharaj in the previous chapter. But now Vidura wants to hear the story of Prthu Maharaj in detail. He wants to hear Prthu Maharaj performing the Ashwamedha Yajna, his meeting with the four Kumaras, milking the cow. All these incidents he wants to hear in detail. Therefore, Vidura is asking a question. On the request of Vidura, Maitreya Rishi is going to narrate a detailed narration of Prthu Maharaj's activities. Vidura Uvacha.
Vidura uvacha
Kasmadadhara gorupam
kasmadata dharagorupam
Dharitri bahurupini
dharitri bahurupini
Yam dudoha prutustatra
yam dudoha purustatra
Kovatso dohanam chakim.
kovatso dohanam chakim. Translation. Vidura inquired from the great sage Maitreya, "My dear Brahmana, since Mother Earth can appear in different shapes, why did she take the shape of a cow? And when King Prithu milked her, who became the calf and what was the milking pot?"
In the 22nd chapter, 22nd shloka of the previous chapter, it was described that Maharaj Prithu milked the earth, who took the form of a cow. So Vidura is asking a question. In this shloka, many questions are there. That Kasma dadara gorupam Bahurupini daritra Kasmat gorupam dadara. Daritri means earth. Earth could have taken many forms, Bahurupini. But why did she take particularly the form of a cow? That's the first question. Yam prtuhu dudoha. Who was milked by prtu. Tatra vatsaha kaha. Milking the cow means there must be a calf must be present. Who was the calf? Kaha dohanam cha kim? And what was the milking part? Three questions are asked. So, yeah, it's no purport to it. And then further, he's asking questions. Prakritya Vishama Devi
प्रकृत्या विषमा देवी
Krita Tena Samakatam
कृता तेन समाकथम्
Tasya Medhyam Hayam Devaha
तस्य मेध्यं हयं देव
Kasya Hetorapaharat.
तस्य हेतो अपाहरत्. The surface of the earth is by nature low in some places and high in others. How did King Pruthu level the surface of the earth? And why did the king of heaven, Indra, steal the horse meant for the sacrifice?
So Vidura is asking questions about all those events. Prithu Maharaj leveling the surface of the earth. Prakritya Vishama Devi Tena Katam Samakrita. That how did Prithu Maharaj make the uneven earth flat? Fourth question. And then Tasya Medyam Hayam Devaha Kasya Hetoho Apaharat. Why did Indra steal the sacrificial horse? This is the fifth question. And then sixth question is about Prithu Maharaj meeting the Kumaras. Sanat Kumarat Bhagavato Brahman Brahma Viduttamat Labdva Jnanam Sa Vijnanam Rajarshi Kamgatim Gataha. So, Bhagavataha Brahma Viduttamat Sanat Kumarat Sa Vijnanam Jnanam Labdva Rajarishihi Kamgatim Gataha. After obtaining the Jnana and Vijnana from the Sanat Kumara, who is the Brahma Viduttama. Brahma Viduttama means the great knower of Brahman. After obtaining knowledge and realization from Sanat Kumara, the great knower of Brahman, Prithu Maharaj, who is a Raja Rishi, what destination, what did he achieve in his life? Kam Gatim Gataha. So this is also important question. So Srila Prabhupada talks about how there are four Vaishnava Sampradayas: Sri Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Kumara Sampradaya, and Rudra Sampradaya. So it comes from Brahma, Vishnu, Brahma, Lakshmi, Kumara, Son, Lord Shiva. So as King Prithu has illustrated, one who is serious about receiving transcendental Vedic knowledge must accept a guru in one of these four disciplic succession. There is a shloka, Sampradaya Vihinayena Mantraste Nishphala Mataha. Unless one accepts a mantra from one of these Sampradayas, the so-called mantra will not act in whole Kali Yuga. Chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are just chanting the Nama. Chanting the holy name, it does not even depend on Diksha. Holy names of Krishna does not depend even on Diksha. Even without taking Diksha also, by simply chanting the holy name, one can attain the perfection. But when we talk about the mantra which begins with the bija, the mantras which begin with the bija mantra, so they have to be accepted, just like Gayatri mantra. They have to be received from a person in the Sampradaya. And especially Sampradaya Vihinayena Mantraste Nishpala Mata. This especially refers to the Vaishnava mantra. So there is a nice want to relate that point. 1 minute. So in the Baldev Vidya Bhushan's Prameya Ratnavali, the shloka comes. Sampradaya Vihinaye Mantraste Nishpala Mata. That shloka is only quoted by Prabhupada in the purport. Without mentioning the shloka, he is giving the meaning of the shloka. So mantras devoid of a sampradaya are considered fruitless. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, there will be 4 varieties of adherents of sampradayas, and these will be Vaishnavas from Brahma, Rudra, Shri, and Sanaka sampradayas. So, one point, there's a nice article written by Hari Parshatru I wanted to share. So these verses from Prameya Ratnavali quoted by Baldev Vidya Bhushan are attributed to the Padma Purana. Although in the current editions of Padma Purana, these shlokas are not found, but they are attributed to the Padma Purana. So there is difference between mantra and a nama. A mantra is something which begins with a bija, like a om, kleem. These are called as a mantra. And then the deity of that particular mantra is in the dative case, Chaturthi Vibhakti. And then the mantra typically ends with the word Namaha. But on the other hand, a Nama is usually in the vocative case, Sambodhana Vibhakti. Krishna, like in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, all the words are in vocative case. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All the names are in the vocative case. But when we talk about Gayatri mantra or other mantras, they begin with the bija and then they end with Namaha or Dhimahi, like that. So the verse from Prameya Ratnavali says that mantras devoid of a sampradaya are fruitless. They do not. The verse does not say that Nama devoid of a sampradaya is fruitless. The holy names Hare Krishna Mahamantra can be chanted even without receiving a Diksha. In fact, there is a verse Prabhupada quotes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 15.110. How Diksha is not mandatory for uttering the name, for uttering the Nama. No Diksham. Diksha is not mandatory for attaining the Nama. But of course, this does not mean that one should avoid accepting Nama from a Guru. Now, one must certainly aspire to get the Nama from a Premi Bhakta Guru. So, but it's not, so in the sense, even Nama, we should aspire to receive from a bona fide Guru. But even if a person has not received the Nama through Diksha, but still Nama is will independently act. It's not mandatory that for Nama is the Diksha is not mandatory for attaining the Nama, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And independent of the Guru, Nama can give results in exceptional cases. But we do not desire to turn exceptions into a rule. If a bona fide Gurus are available, then not accepting Nama from such a Guru is an indication of Nama Parad. So now coming back to the point, Sampradaya Vihinayena Mantraste Nishpala. So the question arises is which mantras? So there are so many mantras in the Vedas. So many mantras are there. So which mantras are referred in this particular shloka? So do all of the mantras in the Vedas, all of them have to be accepted from the four Vaishnava Sampradayas? This is a question. The answer is given by Sri Krishna Deva, the direct associate and companion of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. So Baladev Vidyabhushan has mentioned the shloka Sampradaya Vihinayena in the Prameya Ratnavali. And the direct associate of Baladev Vidyabhushan, he says that Vishnu mantra muktida na bhavanti. Vishnu mantras do not give liberation without a sampradaya. So the Vishnu mantras have to be accepted from one of these four sampradayas. So, therefore, this verse which is quoted, Sampradaya Vihinayena, this verse is specifically applicable for the Vishnu mantras. We cannot extend the applicability of this rule to all the mantras in the Vedas, Puranas, Brahmanas and Tantras. So the reason why Sri Krishna Deva has made this important point in his commentary is that if only the four Vaishnava Sampradayas are bona fide, then all the mantras pertaining to the worship of Lord Shiva or Shakti or other devatas that are not bestowed in Vaishnava Sampradayas will become fruitless. So therefore, Krishna Deva has correctly said that this rule is only limited to the Vishnu mantras. So other mantras which are there in the Vedas with respect to different devatas, they can be accepted even from non-Vaishnava Sampradayas. So if we incorrectly extend this Sampradaya Vihina rule to all the mantras of the Vedas and Tantras and start saying that all the Vedic mantras have to be received only from the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, then the Veda Sampradaya created by Veda Vyasa in Kali Yuga, like in the first canto, fourth chapter, it is described how Veda Vyasa created the Veda Sampradaya and made Paila Rishi, Jaimini Rishi, Vaishampayana Rishi, and Sumantu and Angira Rishi, etc. as the heads of the four Veda Sampradaya. Then these Veda Sampradayas will become fruitless. So certainly these Sampradayas are different from the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. And the Veda Sampradaya passed down in the Sampradayas created by Vyasadeva are definitely completely potent. So the mantras received from those Veda Sampradayas are potent only. But in the case of the Vishnu mantras, one has to receive from one of these four Vaishnava Sampradayas. So therefore, this rule, Sampradaya Vihinayena Mantraste Nishpala Mata, this rule is specifically applicable to the Vishnu mantras, not to all the mantras in the Vedas, Tantras, etc. So that is the point I want to convey. And then Prabhupada says that many sampradayas have sprung up without authority and they are misleading the people by giving unauthorized mantras. So, although they are addicted to all kinds of sinful activity, they still offer the people mantras and thus mislead them. The intelligent persons, however, know that such mantras will never be successful, and as such, they never patronize such upstart spiritual groups. People should be very careful of these nonsensical sampradayas. To get some facility for sense gratification, unfortunate people in this age receive mantras from these so-called sampradayas. Prthu Maharaj showed by his example that one should receive knowledge from a bona fide sampradaya. Therefore, he accepted Sanat Kumara as spiritual master. And then further, Vidura expresses his eagerness to hear about Prthu Maharaj, the 6th and 7th shloka. And then Maitreya Rishi begins the narration from the 8th shloka. We'll continue from the 6th shloka next time. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Good yes, still some notice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Just I recollected that kings being glorified, like uh, even the Lord Shiva was being glorified because he had to be he perform some the feat of drinking poison for the demigods.
Yeah, Devatas glorified Lord Shiva. Before Lord Shiva drank the poison. Next week, next Friday, will be there on the train. Next Friday is Janmashtami. Next week, so Friday will not be able to have class. Yeah. Only possibility is Thursday, but I don't know the availability. But next Friday, I'm not in the train.
Tomorrow class is there?
Tomorrow, Shatsanbaka.
Yes, it's there. No? So Thursday it was not there, no? At 2 o'clock. So I was just...
Okay. So, Grantara